Hey everybody, what's up? We've got probably some odd looking OBS behind the scenes stuff on the screen, but here we are, back to my Photoshop page. I'm not using Facecam today because I didn't feel like it, and this was the only way I could convince myself to stream. So I hope that you're fine with just hearing me narrate everything that's going on today, but I think it'll be pretty good. I have picked out a couple of photos that I'm going to be working on today that were all taken at Emerald City Comic Con. This one is my favorite. Oh, people are having issues with audio. Hopefully that will resolve itself. Let me know if it doesn't. I'm not sure what to do about that because everything is smooth on my end, so at least as far as I can see. Anyway, these are our selection of photos for today. I don't know if I'm going to do all of them, but I'm at least going to get started with these and kind of show you what my process is. These have already been put through Lightroom, and that does a lot of like kind of broad stroke edits, like fixing exposure and fixing color balance and things like that, and allowing me to do a little bit of color grading. So those things have all been done. Mostly what I'm going to be doing in Photoshop today is like touching up little parts of the image just to make it look better, like touching up the skin and like touching up a couple of like the weird little shadows. This is you can see a little shadow of my undersuit on here. So that's just like an example of something that I'll probably work on in this photo. To get started, I'm going to use this frequency separation action that I have already prepared. And basically this is like something that I set up in advance. If you want to know more about this, just go to YouTube and search frequency separation tutorial, and that will teach you what that is. I'm not going to do like a tutorial on it right now. But basically, this is a process that separates different frequencies or aspects of this photo. So part of it, this is the texture layer as it's called, which is basically mapping out like values and textures, not entirely values, but it looks like weird embossing when you look at it alone. And then without it, this other layer, which is called the color layer, gets separated out, and it's like this very blurry, fuzzy version of the image. But this is basically an approach to editing skin that we are going to start with today. It's so quiet. Let me see. Is that the music or the mic audio? Alright, well, I might have Jared come and look at that. Hold on just a second, I'm going to send him a quick message. Alright, back to this. Audio's good, no lag? Okay, cool. Well, thank you for other people. If anybody else is having problems, let me know, but Jared is going to check on that for me. Okay, so now I'm going to zoom in here into the face area that we're going to start with. And so this is basically a method that's going to allow me to even out the skin tone without changing the shape of my face. So we're using the healing brush tool. The hardness is all the way at 0. The size is whatever size you need it to be. For me, it's slightly bigger. Still bigger. Come on. That's probably good. And then I'm going to begin using my Alt key to select areas and then like kind of tapping around in this area. So what I'm doing is like evening out skin tone and like unflattering shadows. And then I'm gonna work on this a little bit and then show you what it's doing. It's a really subtle effect as you're going. Oh, there it was. Okay, the audio balance is off on my end then if I can't hear that very well. Let me turn down a few things. But anyway, that was Casual Viking just subbed. Thank you so much. Oh, tonight we're listening to DJ Cutman Radio. Or Radio Cutman is what it is. So this is a YouTube page that I'm on here. And this is basically just like a 24-hour stream that's playing wonderful Cutman and other DJs that are along. I think they're all part of Game Chops. So it's along the same lines as the same music we were listening to before. I'm going to turn it down a little bit in the YouTube window so that I can hear this stuff. I guess the desktop audio needs to stay up, but then turn it down. So, okay, hopefully that will allow me to hear future notifications. Okay. You can leave the other layers on to see details. I kind of like having the blurriness of it, but here's a quick sample. Oops, I forgot to leave this other layer on, of what it's doing. Hey, Tiny Bear just subscribed. For 2 months in a row. Thank you. Saying always a pleasure, Heidi. I appreciate that. Maybe I will leave this layer on just to allow you to kind of see what's happening as I'm working on this photo. But this is the difference, a very subtle difference in what we've been doing. The shadow here on my face in the area that I've been working on is kind of getting evened out, and it's a lot more flattering. So I'm going to continue doing that in different areas of the face. I guess I will... I don't know. Let me see. Let me try working with the texture layer on. I'm very used to working with it off, so I'm careful to still be altering the color layer and not the texture layer. And so I'm basically doing the same thing I was doing before, only now you can watch it happening. I don't know. I feel like I can see what I'm working on better with that off, so I'm just gonna do it that way. Sorry, Jeremy. Thank you for the tip, though. So this was an overcast day. Oops, I went too far out of line there. I accidentally hit a little bit of that blue. So I was clicking around too wildly. So this was an overcast day, which was pretty nice, except that with the way that the sunlight was hitting me, it was all like kind of straight from above. So there are some unflattering shadows on different areas of my face. And this is basically going to clean that up. Hopefully it shouldn't take much. But the reason why frequency separation works is because if you're working with the entire photo as one layer, you kind of can be altering too much at a time. So what this is doing is just altering like the color balance and blending, and not touching all of the skin tone. Because if I were erasing all of the skin tone, or like not skin tone, that doesn't look good. I'm gonna go back a few steps. The skin texture, rather, it starts to look really fake, and you just get like the overly filtered, like super blurry look. I'm going to turn the texture layer back on in just a minute, and then you'll see the difference. The healing tool is great because it allows you to sample different sections, and you can be very deliberate. Yeah, that doesn't look good. Sometimes I realize that I've selected a color that's not, it's too far off of what's happening in that area, and it doesn't look as good, and so you have to back up a little bit. But it's just takes a little bit of patience and trial and error. And I realize that this is probably not the most fascinating thing to watch, but I will show you in just a moment. Here we go, the effects of what I'm doing. So this is what it looks like right now with the oh hey MP Laffy, have a good night. Sorry guys if it's not working. Oh no, my internet seems to be fine. I don't know, unless I'm wrong. So turning off this group, you can see the difference of what I have done to this photo. It's still me. It's not really changing my features, but it is changing and kind of removing these unflattering shadows that just make me look tired, which I was very tired. And so the skin texture is more or less intact. I'm gonna now go on the texture layer. I'm gonna make my brush a little bit smaller. And I'm gonna clean up any kind of like obvious texture variations. Like I have a small scar on one of my cheeks. I guess it's not really visible in this photo. But any like little tiny pimples or like moles or single dots where you can tell that there's like a little raised bump, you just want to hit those specific areas and not the whole face. At least on this texture layer. And so that preserves the authenticity of the texture of the skin. It doesn't make it look like overly filtered and overly edited. Something weird is going down with my cheek over here. There we go. That looks better. And I'm gonna clean up a little bit of under eye. I have like tiny wrinkles there, which most people do. But anyway, I'm not gonna totally get rid of like under eye. Like you don't want to totally wipe it out and make yourself look totally smooth. I'm gonna do a little bit of dodging and burning for that probably, which is gonna be a separate step that happens next. But I don't want this to look like overly plasticky or filtered in a way that you can't enjoy it. This is, I feel like the aspect ratio of what I'm looking at is different than what I'm viewing on the stream. So if it looks like weirdly narrow, that might be why. All right. Jeremy's No Hands No Eyes says, I didn't even realize you edited your own photos. I do sometimes. I'm like recently learning more about this. I don't typically do a lot of photography, but Jared has recently been taking more photos of me, and then I have therefore been editing those photos. Now here's a super close-up where you can really see all of my weird skin texture. I'm on the color layer. I'm gonna try to get rid of some of the shadows in here, because the way that this mask fits me, it kind of scrunches my forehead down a little bit, and so that's not really doing me any favors. So I want to get rid of that like weird bump in my forehead / eyebrows. But yeah, it looks weird. I think I'm gonna do that with dodging and burning too. Okay, because I don't want to mix in any of this blue if I'm getting too close to the edge. So I might just leave that for a next step. I'm gonna zoom out a little bit because it creeps me out to see my face that closely. Hold on just a moment. Yeah, I think the aspect ratio of this might be off slightly just because my monitors are different maybe? I don't know. Hey Zelda Skyloft. Alright, I think I'm more or less happy right there with the frequency separation. I'm gonna rename this group. And then I'm going to duplicate it, and then rename, and then turn it all into one layer. And then duplicate it again to work on this layer. So that way everything is like non-destructive if I'm basically making copies of my work before I make changes to it. And so now I will get into making other changes. And then if I ever like take it a step too far or do something that I don't like, I can go back and redo it. Okay, so looking again super close up at my forehead, we're gonna do some dodging and burning, which is a fancy way of saying we're gonna make things slightly lighter or slightly darker in different areas. I'm going to use the dodge tool first, which is to make things lighter. The hardness of my brush is at 0% and it's just kind of small right now. I'll make it a little bit bigger. And this is exposure of 4%. It's really, really low and it's affecting the midtones. So basically this is a very, very mild tool right now. And what it's going to do is lighten areas where I brush over. And it's only going to do it a little bit at a time. So it's best to like do in small increments and then kind of work your way up, because you can, you know, just release it and click again. Rather than using the exposure or having the exposure set really high and then doing too much all at once. So all this is doing is just lightening this area very selectively, very softly with a soft edge. Let me see, I'm going to use it right down here at a little bit along my jawline. There's really not a ton else. What else did I say I was going to dodge and burn? Oh, I know. This is also when I can do like minimal other changes. Like down here, I'm actually going to use the stamp tool for this. There's like a little tiny stray thread. I'm just going to get rid of that. And I'm going to do that by selecting the area right by it and just making it disappear with that stamp tool. Okay. Let's see. Similarly, I'm going to use the healing brush. There's like a tiny smudge, I think, on my eyebrow right here. And so I'm going to get rid of that as well with the little stamp brush. Or this is a spot healing brush. So like just really, really minor touch-ups in those areas. I think I'm gonna, there we go. Hey, I heard that. That was Casual Viking, thank you so much. Oh, hello kitten. Let's see, Tiny Bear is asking, is it easier to not have to fight the sun when editing overcast pics, or does the sunny lighting help you know what to look for when you want for the shot? Well, lighting conditions will have a big impact on what your final photos look like. Overcast is generally desirable because then you don't have really harsh sunlight. You have more of a balanced sunlight, and in some cases the sky is acting like a giant reflector. Okay, we're going back to the burn tool. So I would say that overcast is better, but there are other like specific times of day, like golden hour, where you do want that lovely lighting coming in at an angle. But if you're working in like the middle of the day at like noon, it can be really, really hard to make that lighting work unless you're in the shade. Or if it's overcast. Okay, so now we're super zoomed in on my eyes. You can see every little wrinkle around my eyes. What I'm gonna do is use this burn tool. The exposure is set pretty low. I'm gonna turn it up a little bit. And yeah, we'll start with our midtones. And basically what I'm doing is I'm cheating my eyeliner a tiny bit. This is something that, I don't know if I just suck at eyeliner, but my face does this a lot. I'm just kind of filling in this spot that like likes to come off, or where you can see the band of my eyelashes. And it's honestly like a very subtle thing that most people probably wouldn't notice, or maybe not consciously notice. But we want to just have like a very clean looking photograph. We want it to be like real looking. I don't want to turn myself into a fake human. But like little tiny touch-ups to the makeup is something that I will do depending on the situation, depending on, I mean, nothing very drastic. I'm not like putting makeup on my face in Photoshop, but I do little touch-ups like that anytime I can see something that's like off. And so that's all I'm gonna do for that. Oh, I'm gonna do a little bit to my eyes here, which is also gonna be very, very mild. Using the dodge tool first. I'm going to turn this to be really, really tiny, and I'm going to just lighten only the veins in my eyes. I don't want to make my eyes look, if you use this tool to like try to make your eyes whiter, they look really fake and weird and creepy. So don't do that. I use the dodge tool to make it slightly lighter and take out the shadow of the veins. And then I also use the sponge tool on desaturation mode. Let's see, 5%. What was my brush size? I'll bring it back up a tiny bit. So I'm like simultaneously taking the red out and also taking the shadow of the vein out. So it's working on both the color and the value. So desaturating it and lightening it at the same time. So I'm only doing this like on a super low setting in very specific places, and I'm not going to eliminate it 100% because I do want it to look real. And if you like make all of these changes to make your face look like flawless and perfect, then you look like a fake person and not like a normal human. So I think that's about it for what I'm gonna do there on the face. So the eyes still look natural. There you go. Here's the difference between the things I've done on this layer. You can really see my my little touch-ups to the eyeliner, as well as the getting rid of the like veins in my eyes. That's something that I struggle with, especially wearing costume lenses. Is my eyes are sensitive, so they tend to just look irritated, and it sucks because you want to look pretty in photos. But anyway, I thought about cleaning up some of these stray hairs, but there's honestly just a lot, and it's kind of just like a part of the look of the costume. I think I am going to clean up like at least a small amount of them. We're gonna use this. At least some of the bigger ones that are like sticking directly out, we're gonna clean up just those so that it's not totally wild looking. I'm choosing like a spot heal tool, which is probably not the best, but if you don't get them all in one swipe, then and you try to just like do it little bits at a time, then you generally the program like auto completes, like you can't get rid of it that way basically, because it thinks you're just trying to draw the line again. Okay, so just a few here and there so that it's not as fuzzy. And luckily the background is nice and like blurry, so this does not have to be like super precise, or they don't have to disappear completely even. I just don't want it to look like really messy. Oops, that got a little bit off there. I should get a tablet for editing, but I just haven't. I'm using a mouse, but it's working. I'm okay with it. Okay, so I'm not gonna go overboard in getting rid of all these little individual hairs. Yeah, see, it like completes the red hair there. Maybe I'll get the ones that are just sticking straight up here. I don't know, I'll have to use a different tool for that probably. I'm just not even gonna mess with it, because that would be like an endless rabbit hole if I wanted this to be smooth. And honestly, just like the way this is styled with like lots of crazy teasing and stuff, it's just never gonna be completely smooth, or I should have styled it that way in person. But anyway, that looks pretty good. Well, thank you, No Hands, No Eyes. I'm glad that you like it. Touching up a suit like this from Katsucon and doing healing on it was super hard because you could see the threads so specifically on it. Yeah, that's when you can see the texture and it's just like really clean. It's really, really hard to edit that. Okay, so the last thing, I think the last thing for this photo, I'll take another look at it in a minute, but one of the last things I want to look at is this, like, the shadow here. What you're seeing here is a part of the interior of this fabric. The seam is like folded over, and this is the seam allowance. It's casting a small shadow. Hey, Anna just subscribed. A Petty just subscribed for 9 months in a row. Thank you so much, and welcome back to tonight's stream. And then down here also you can see the shadows of the seams of the undersuit that I'm wearing. So I am going to, I'll use the healing brush again. And I'm just going to touch up these areas to make those shadows, maybe not disappear 100%, but to lighten the appearance of them so it's just not distracting. So I don't generally do like crazy edits to the costume. There's like lots of different, I guess, schools of thought on how much editing you, quote, should do to a cosplay photo. Some people do like a huge amount of editing to really make themselves look cartoonish. And other people are like, no, this like have this like Puritan mentality where you shouldn't make changes to the outfit. I kind of feel like if I'm not like being totally misleading about like the quality of the item that I made or what my face actually looks like, I think that anything that is like serving the final product and making it look nicer, you know, is a fine thing to do. There's like some tiny snags in the fabric that you can kind of see. And so I will spend a minute or two getting rid of like little shadows or like little weird threads that didn't get clipped off or whatever. I don't think this is deceptive in any way. Like, people get way more overboard with their Photoshop. I just like making everything look really nice and clean. There's a weird wrinkle here. I probably shouldn't touch that. I'm like adding more shadow in. Okay, I'm just not even gonna mess with that. But yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Let's zoom back out. So this is a full version. That's most of the spot touch-ups that I wanted to do. It's basically a little bit of touch-up to the skin, any kind of like cleanup work from stray hairs, and any kind of like cleanup work from weird wrinkles or shadows. I don't like to go overboard on wrinkles and shadows, but even just a little bit can make a nice difference. Okay, so now I'm going to turn off these other layers, and we're looking at the top layer, which is the one with all of the edits versus the original, and I'm going to show you before and after. This is the after of everything I just did, and this is the before. So flipping back and forth between them a little bit, it's not a super drastic difference, but it's subtle in a really nice way. And, you know, my face does just look a little bit better without, like, you know, unflattering shadows, and then just cleaning up little tiny things that are out of place in the photo that I want to look a little bit cleaner. So there it is. Fusselpoost, I think, says cosplay is a form of art too, right? So I'd say it's okay to edit a photo as much as you want as long as you're being honest about it. Yeah, I mean, it's always awkward when you meet a cosplayer in person and they don't look like their photos, and you're like, oh, you've got beauty cam dialed up to 11 in your selfies or whatever. And I mean, like, that's fine. Like, we all want to present ourselves in the best way online, and I don't think that that should be like looked down upon, but I want to always make sure that I'm like representing myself as I am, I guess. So moving on to the next one, I just started doing the frequency separation again. This is saved as an automated action on my my Photoshop, but if you just go to YouTube and look up the tutorials for that, you can get the information on how to set that up for yourself if you're interested. So now zooming in again, back to the face. I'm going to turn the texture layer off because they work a little bit better that way, and we have, yes, the healing brush tool. Thank you, No Hands, No Eyes, I appreciate that. And Leonovid says, there is a thing is too much. Oops, that's not, this is the layer that we want. Yeah, I mean, it's a matter of taste. So different people are going to say different levels of Photoshop is too much. versus just right. So one of the big things for me is that I always want my photos to be like natural looking, and I want it to always look like me. So even though, you know, there are some changes, you're getting a slightly more idealized version of me. I think I need to make the brush smaller. And that's just like normal. Like you're seeing the idealized versions of pretty much everyone you follow on the internet. So if you hadn't figured that out yet, sorry. But I want it to be still like true to myself, which is kind of just like a personal balance, I guess. I don't ever want people to meet me in person after following my cosplay and my streams and everything and then be like, oh, you look totally different. Because it is kind of unnerving, and it's like, what's the truth? Alright. That's how we're doing so far. Pretty simple stuff. Okay, turning the texture back off. What was that? Oh, hey, Perfect World, thanks. It says, don't mind me, just lurking. Keldingle, what am I working in? Like, I have one of those subscriptions, so it's like, it's the Creative Suite, whichever is like the most recent version. Rather than, I'm on whatever the deal is where you like pay a monthly fee for all of the Creative Suite. So, that's what I've got. And it's nice because you always have the most up-to-date version and you don't have to pay full price. You just get your upgrades and all of that. Anyway, I'm still learning how to edit well. I've just been watching a lot of YouTube tutorials, which I think that a lot of like the popular styles is kind of like too much for me. Like it takes it a little bit too far sometimes. I don't like doing, well, I mean, it doesn't matter. My taste in photos is just like more, I guess, clean and natural looking. But it depends. I mean, sometimes other photographers just edit things really, really well, and they do have like a stronger Photoshop kind of style, and that's fine too. But at least for my own work, I like to just do things that look clean and natural. I don't like to do like a ton of fake colors, color overlays or anything. Like slight amounts can be nice and add something to your color grading, but I think people go overboard with just like, oh, I'll overlay a shitload of colors on it because the photo isn't already interesting in and of itself. And it's like, I mean, if you want that to work well, your photo should be already pretty good to start with. Fuselpust says, really like how the red hair kind of glows because of the dark green background. Yeah, I like that too. Thought that was a good contrast that we have here. All right, now moving to the texture layer. Red Bard used to work as a photo editor that did glamour shots for a studio and was required to use a filter on all the shots that totally smoothed everyone's skin to the point where there were basically no shadows. Yeah, that sounds terrible. Like, if you end up not looking like a natural like human, then that's not flattering to me. That was weird. You know, maybe that's just my, oh, it looks weird just on the texture layer, that's it. That's just my taste, but like, if it looked totally plasticky and fake, you know, that's just not flattering, I don't think. You're not really making yourself look better, you're just kind of revealing the fact that your attempts to look better are fake, I guess. Or like when the photo itself looks like way over filtered and like dialed up to 11, it's just like, why? That doesn't look right. I'm gonna go ahead and copy this and okay, so now I'm going to use this. I have like a lipstick smudge on my lip that I'm trying to get rid of. Nope, that didn't do it. This song is awesome. I mean, the original is amazing, but I also just really love this remix. Stamp tool? Alright, we're getting out the actual stamp tool. It's too much. Alright, hold on. I swear to God, I will make this better. I might just do some dodging and burning right here. Okay, dodge tool. I need a slightly bigger. And I guess I do need the stamp tool. I'm just gonna make it a lot smaller. Alright, now I'm gonna try to patch it up with this. Ugh, I hate this. I wish I had just done better on my lipstick. Alright, cool. That looks pretty smooth, I think. Smoothing out the edges a little bit. Let's compare to our original. I mean, there's a lot of other frequency separation, like shadow removal that's going on. I don't want to totally get rid of that shadow in that area. You know, I also forgot to do, I'm gonna just copy that again because I forgot to make a copy. Alright, so this is now my copy of what it looked like before. Oh, you know what I can do here? I can just bring this opacity down. There we go. That's how I'm gonna get what I want. That looks perfect. So now the like, it's just basically blending the two layers together so you get the best of both worlds. Okay, and I think 50 is probably good. Okay. And now I'm going to merge them together and then copy it again and work on. Are you frozen? What's going on? There we go. Copied again. And so now I'm working on the most recent layer as well. And zooming back out because this is just way too close to my own face. Okay, now I'm gonna do a little bit of dodging and burning in the under eye area and again at the forehead where I have that mask shadow. Best of both worlds, Hannah Montana. Oh, hello. Is Jared streaming now? Interesting. Cool. All right, back to dodging and burning. We have the dodge tool. I'm gonna bring the size up. It's probably good. You guys are just gonna get a ton of super close-ups of my face tonight, I guess. I met a couple people from our streaming community at Emerald City Comic Con, which was super great. I got to meet Pink Girl and then one or two other people. I don't think they identified themselves with their names. They're like Twitch names, but I was happy to meet them. Alright, that looks pretty good to me. I'm also using the little healing brush tool right here on my wayward eyebrow. Burning, we can still do burning of the eyeliner. This one isn't as obvious, but I'll just make it consistent. So yeah, I like to basically use Photoshop to make subtle touch-ups and enhancements to what is already in the photo. Like, I'm not like making crazy changes to my face or to my body or anything like that. It's more of just like being able to do really, really fine changes that serve the final product. That enhance what's already there rather than like trying to create or totally change something that you didn't already capture in the photo. Like, I try not to use editing to, like, make a photo interesting if it's not already interesting. Like, you want to start with something that has the qualities that you're looking for. And then just dial them up a little bit. And clean them up a little bit. Okay. So I didn't mess with the texture. If you're looking at this at super full resolution, you can see that I still have like the normal under eye texture that makes me look like a real human, and not like a plasticky fake person that doesn't have real skin. And now I'm just gonna touch up very select spots of like just little dots. Cool. I see a lot of people just like totally eliminate everything that's under the eye and try to have no shadow and no wrinkly texture there, and it's just like nobody looks like that. Like it triggers the viewer to notice something that's uncanny and fake. So like that's why I like to keep my edits really subtle, because then it's like you're not looking at anything that is like an obvious flag for, oh, that's not normal, like people don't really look like that. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Oh, I still have this weird wayward hair, or like not hair, but a little thread down there. So that's gone. Cool. Dimming back out. Let me turn off my mid layers, and you can see the difference between the face. There we go. Pretty subtle steps, like all along, like one by one. Each one is pretty, nothing I'm doing is like overly drastic, but when you look at them all together, it does make a nice noticeable change. Which Jean Grey is this? This is the Jim Lee version. It's like from the 90s. Jared uses Flash. No, Jared did not use Flash on these. We don't have a Flash, but I need to do that. I want to get a Flash. I think that would be a good step for us. Something else for us to learn. Okay, I'm not going to touch up any like shadows or wrinkles on this suit, but I am going to get rid of this zipper. No more zipper. So these guys, these arm bands that I wear, they have a zipper, And I kind of just rotate them around until this, like anytime I'm doing photos, I'm like moving them as I pose, and then just trying to have them turned away from the camera. So it's not super high tech. I guess I could have or should have made them, you know, just not do that, but whatever. I'm just clone stamping them away, and then I'll blend this area in a little bit. I feel like I created some unevenness here. So I'm just trying to zoom in and even it out. So now, similarly to how I approached the skin, I'm using the healing brush tool. This is all one layer though, because this is not an extremely textured area. It's also just very kind of almost hidden detail, but I just don't want anything there to catch the eye as a red flag. Oh, here's something I can get rid of. There's like a little wrinkle in the belt. Now it's gonna be smooth. Alright, cool. And here's the full version. I think that's all the touch-ups I want to do on this one. Let's look at the before and after. Here's the after and the before. So you can really see that little zipper disappear. And then like slight changes in the face. What was that? Oh, hey, Link fan! I'm gonna replay that because it just, so this is, there we go. That showed up that time. Got fabric for Arwen. Thank you so much. That was 1 yard of Arwen fabric that, oh, okay, I guess it just lagged. So I could hear it but not see it. And so now I replayed it twice. So thank you very much, Link fan. Thanks for showing up and for contributing toward that fabric. That's gonna be the next costume I make here. I could Photoshop this out, but I honestly don't know if it matters. Hey, thanks for the resub, Link fan, for 9 months in a row. Awesome. So this is before and after, one more time, since Link fan just showed up. Just smoothing out the face and getting rid of like unflattering shadows, but not really making drastic changes to anything. Okay, cool. So we got 2 more. I think I'll probably just do these last 2 and then that'll be it for the night, but I'll, oh wait, let's frequency separation first. Okay. This one, the skin already looks pretty good. My face is turned toward the light, so the same shadows are much less pronounced on my face because I'm looking upward at the light, so you don't get like the dark, nearly as much of that dark shadow. Okay. This one also, the focus isn't quite there, but that's okay. I still really like it. Alright, taking the texture layer out and back to our frequency separation. Oh, yeah, this is the correct tool. I was like, oops, am I using the wrong thing? But I was not, and we are okay. Maybe I should have just gone with dodging and burning from this area. It's kind of creating like a little bit too much color variation. It's not blending well enough, but I'm just gonna have to stick around in this area and make it blend. You can also use a blur tool. You don't want to overly rely on that because it's not as precise. Like, you have way more control when you're individually applying little spots of color. But what you are doing is more or less blurring things. That's kind of what you're effectively doing, so. And you don't want to like eliminate the highlights and shadows completely, because that's what is creating the contours of your face. That's like what makes people read your facial features. And so I've seen people like go way overboard on eliminating shadows to where it's just like you're erasing your features. So I try not to do that. I'm grabbing the blur tool. I'm gonna like just strategically, you want to like make sure you're going in the right directions, which is whatever direction you need, but not just blurring things haphazardly, but blurring like small circles is usually pretty good, and staying in one localized area. So this is only blurring our color layer and not affecting the texture. Oh, Keldon Goals headed to bed. Well, thanks for hanging out. Leonovid says the blurriness makes him think they need to grab his glasses. Wolfsong, thank you for subscribing. Yeah, it's a little hard to get used to looking at a super blurred out photo like this, but it's what does the job. Now that I've evened out this area a little bit, I'm back with my healing tool. Cool, now with the texture and a comparison. I guess I lost some of the brightness on the chin, which is a little bit more than I wanted to do, honestly, because it does look more different. But you know what, I think that's still fine. It doesn't really like make my chin disappear. I have a pretty strong chin, so I think that's probably fine. Alright, I don't want to overthink it too much. I can always do a little bit of dodging just to bring that detail back in, which I think I will do. So let's rename this. Again, dodge tool, 40, yeah. So I'm just gonna brighten up this side of the chin because that's how it looked in the original photo, and I don't want to lose too much of that. So turning off all the intermediate layer and the middle layers, and yeah, that looks better. Creating like a smoother shape but not losing like the integrity of what my face looks like, I think. cool. I'm getting this forehead shadow, which thankfully is really faint in this photo. So this whole step is kind of just like painting with highlight and shadow, where you can really fine-tune very small details of where the shadows are created. Should have probably done that with a bigger brush, but whatever, it works. Alright, there we go. I don't want to mess with that too much anymore. Now, as far as stray hairs go on this one, see how that reacts. Oh, not too badly. There was like one hair coming from the inside. I don't want to mess up the look of this whole thing. So this really doesn't need a lot. None of that is like imperative. Okay. And anything I want to eliminate from the costume. There's that zipper, but it's like practically invisible already. I don't feel the need to persecute that zipper in this image. Oh, here we go. This section here is what I'm going to work on next. Oh, Red Bard is heading out. Well, thanks for chilling with us for a little while. I'll see you next time. Just kind of selecting from the areas right above and below. To make this, the undersuit line just lighten, even if it doesn't entirely disappear, it won't be as obvious and distracting. Cool. So yeah, once again, I'm not totally trying to eliminate the like shadows from my body, because really this is like the shadow created by my rib cage. The way that my body is, like the way my posture is, that's kind of what you're looking at. And it was creating a lot more of a pronounced line with the undersuit underneath. But I'm not trying to totally eliminate that. I just don't want it. So I'm not trying to like change the shape of my body or make it look like I don't have that rib cage. Eliminating another shadow of the seam allowance here. Really, I should just serge the inside of the suit, and then it won't look like this anymore. Alright, well that does it. I think that's pretty good. Anything down here? Not really. Oh, here we go. There's tiny little spots. Just small things. Oh, and then these are these lines on the thighs. And those are caused by the undersuit as well, because it like stops at the thigh. So this is like the edge of that suit. So I'm just gonna lighten that up a little bit. So yeah, photo editing is two-part for me usually. I do the biggest changes in Lightroom, and then I just use Photoshop for like spot retouches, as opposed to Lightroom, which is like color grading, exposure settings, making sure everything is like cropped and centered, and you know, any kind of gradients that I want to add. I do all of that in Lightroom first, and then usually I'll go through all of the photos that I have. I'll select anywhere from like, I don't know, depending on how many photos we shot, like anywhere from like 10 to 20 usually of like the best images from the whole set, and then those will get fed through Lightroom, and then from those it's usually like 4 or 5 of my very favorites that end up getting the full Photoshop treatment. So like out of the hundreds of photos that actually get taken during, you know, a photo shoot, well, not always that many, but sometimes that many, only like 4 or 5 make it all the way to like getting posted. But that's fine, because you don't want, like, you want to choose the best ones and post the best ones and not be posting mediocre work. So for some photographers that's going to be only a couple photos from each set, and for others it'll be lots and lots more. But anyway, that's kind of my general workflow on these photos. I don't want to start altering the texture of the suit too much. But just cleaning up little tiny shadows. Because I want to present the costume at its best, as well as, you know, like my face, my makeup, and my hair. What's my next con? Sakura Con is here in Seattle. So actually the same location. Looking at this stomach. Oh, I guess it does actually look better. Alright, here's our before and after. This is the after of all of the edits that I just did. And this is what it looked like when we started. So you can see changes in the face, especially like along the jawline. I'm just like smoothing those shapes out, smoothing out the shadows, and then a little bit here as well, like the rib cage. The sharp like lines of the undersuit disappear and it just gets a little bit softer, and that's that. That's all that needs to happen with that one, I think. I don't know. Forgot how I've been saving these, but everything is auto-saved these days. Okay, here's our last one that I have picked out for tonight. So yeah, I'm gonna edit this one and probably call it a night for this stream, but alright. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to going back to Sakura Con now that I know what to expect from the convention center and all of that. I had never been to the Washington Convention Center, despite a lot of big cons happening there, until this past weekend, so now I know my way around a little bit. I know what to expect in terms of like the environments there that we can shoot in, and you know, how to get around. So that was nice to do that kind of preliminary research, so to speak, just about the convention center. My Sakura Con lineup is going to be pretty exciting. Luckily, I don't have to make anything big. I'm not doing any, like, I'm going to start on my next costume soon, but I'm not doing a Sakura Con deadline, just so that I'm not really stressed. So the things I am wearing to Sakura Con are mostly older costumes. I'm going to bring Twilight Princess Zelda. and I'm gonna have that bow that I commissioned. So I'm very, very excited about bringing that out. And what else? I might do one new casual costume, which I don't want to announce it unless I actually do it. But that would be like a put this together in like one day kind of costume, and not something that would take a lot of time. And I probably wouldn't stream any of that just because it's just not very interesting. But, so I might do like a new casual costume, and then I was thinking about wearing Aerith because I haven't worn that one in quite some time and I need some more photos of her. So I would love to do some touch-ups on my Aerith cosplay. So that's what I'm considering. Oh, and depending on what the weather is like, I might wear my winter Zelda, but I just don't want to get too cold. I'm sorry, I don't want to get too hot in the coat. That's what I was trying to say. If it's cool enough, then I will wear it, but I don't want to sweat in it. So who knows? I might be 2 Zeldas in one weekend, or I might just wait for the next one. Oh, and SakuraCon is also happens on my birthday, or that Sunday of SakuraCon is my birthday, so I'm looking forward to having a good birthday con. Oh, thank you, Kitten. Happy early birthday. I appreciate that. I'm not doing anything special for my birthday, at least not that I have planned right now, but probably go out for a nice dinner. Maybe with some convention friends if I can. Or maybe just have a nice dinner date with Jared. Alright, we're getting close to this one. So turn that texture layer back on. These are the differences. I think it just makes me look more awake, too, honestly. Zoom in a little bit more. Alright. Feeling pretty good about the frequency separation. Let me look at the texture layer one more time, actually. Just get rid of any kind of like little bumps. Alright, feeling good about that. I say as I continue to find little tiny things to make edits to. They're just the tiniest changes. Okay, so now I am duplicating and making this all one layer, and now our dodging and burning. So starting with dodging of the forehead like I was doing before, just to make my wrinkly forehead go away. And yeah, I need to just make some changes to this mask, because the mask, it needs to be secured to my head better. When I originally made this costume, I wore it with my real hair, and I used my real hair with it. I like it way better with the wig. I think the wig was a really good choice, because it looks way more cartoony. But basically I need to experiment with a better way to like attach the mask to my face, because it's kind of just like putting too much pressure on my face and then making my forehead squinch down. So it's hard for me to like keep my head up and keep my forehead looking normal and relaxed in these photos. So it's been like a consistent problem where I get this squinchy forehead. So that's something that I should probably change just by changing the costume itself, but I swear I don't have a squinchy forehead in real life. It's Jean Grey only. I was sharing, I took a selfie, after I wore this costume all day. We went out for dinner. I posted a selfie from dinner where you can just see the horrible line across my, across my forehead. And people are just like, what is that? Okay, dodging and burning looks good. I'm gonna still do that same thing to my eyes. Have I ever thought about trying her Dark Phoenix outfit? Asks Kitten. I guess that's one that I would consider making in the future. I chose this one over the other ones because I liked that it was a little bit more uncommon. There are a lot of Dark Phoenixes, or just regular Phoenixes out there, which isn't like a problem, but it makes me somewhat less motivated to choose that for myself. Like, obviously there's gonna be a lot of repeat cosplays in the world, but you know, I enjoy doing the ones that are more unique sometimes. Obviously not all of my costumes, but some of them. But yeah, I also like doing multiple versions of different characters. Like, I'll have my favorite characters and then I end up cosplaying like several different outfits or something. So I definitely would not be opposed to doing more Jean Grey. And I have cosplayed Marvel Girl, which is another Jean Grey version. It's also like one of the older styles. I think that one's like 80s or something. Before she was just commonly known as Jean Grey. Alright, I've got my weird eye veins mostly taken care of. And now I'm burning my eyeliner back in. I think this is just like the way the places that my makeup tends to like flake off while I'm wearing it, or maybe not flake, but just kind of melt off a little bit, is right at the corners of my inner eye. So that's one thing I pay attention to. I don't do a lot of changes to makeup with Photoshop, but even just like a tiny... Oh, good night, Anna. Sorry. Hey, Petty. See you later. Alright, well I think that one is looking how I want it to, and I'm gonna go and check on other small spot changes, anything that I think could use a touch-up. I'm gonna get a couple of these stray hairs. Not all of them, because like I mentioned before, it's just not feasible for how this wig is styled. But some of the ones that are like more distracting and sticking straight out, I'm going to erase. Or at least just like make them fade away. This big guy. I don't want to go overboard on this section because that could be a nightmare. That's probably fine. Oh, one other thing we can do, because the background is really blurry, which is nice. Using this blur tool to just like kind of fade the edges of the hair so that it doesn't look, they aren't catching the light in the same way. It's not creating a hard line. So I'm just going to use that to fade them out a little bit. Also go in these areas where I just kind of haphazardly got rid of stuff. Okay. Oh, there's one here that's going like across the suit. Going across the mask. I don't want that. Perfect. And then I think I'm gonna get rid of this whole chunk because it's just sticking out. That was too much because it created like a duplicate spot. Okay. Going back to the blur tool. Alright, well I don't want to get too overboard on this hair because I'll be here all night. Let me check. Oh, wait a second. I'm gonna get a couple of these. Just ones that are like obviously going against the rest of the hair. I like to kind of clean up those strays as well. Cool. And probably this one because it's making a weird loop. Okay. Cool. So the main goal is always to just eliminate things that are distracting. So there's like a small stain on the suit. And just try to make everything look smooth and clean where I can. Without losing the fact that, you know, this is a real person in a real suit and I'm not trying to wash out all contrast or any sign of human flaws, because then it just looks weird. Alright, this is the full version. And this is what it looked like. So this is the after, where I'm pretty much done with this one. And this is the before. You can really see how much straight hair cleanup I did. You know, it is still kind of a fuzzy looking wig, but just like, especially the stuff in here where like you can just see, and like these hairs that are all sticking out, they're just distracting. And then this is just like a cleaner, less distracting version. So anyway, that's about it. That's what I do to my photos to make them finished. And now I'm really happy with everything we did tonight. So I'm pretty much gonna call it done for this stream. I'll go back and show all the ones we edited tonight. So this one that I just finished. This one. I like this one too. It's hard to choose a favorite, but I'm gonna have to choose one of my favorites and post them. I'll probably post it tomorrow. Or maybe I'll post one tonight. I haven't been posting very much lately. I don't know. Well, thank you so much, Kitten. Thanks, No Hands, No Eyes. Thanks for sticking around. I'm glad you approve. Much more experienced photographer. So, oh, and here's my Ray photo from earlier. I guess I can show that one off because I haven't closed it up yet. But this one I actually did quite a bit of editing to. There's a... I can turn off all of the layers and just show you what it looked like. This is like the shot straight out of Lightroom. And this was after I did like my edits to face and hair to get rid of those shadows and the frequency separation. Oh, hey, Rose Whiplash. So you're here right at the end. Sorry you didn't see a lot of the rest of it. I added a faint smoke effect to this just to create a little bit more atmosphere, but I didn't want it to be really obvious or fake looking, so I just kept it really subtle. And then this is the saber edit, which is both the glowing saber itself and also to have the blue light from the saber casting on the head. I created like a fake light effect for that. So I was just following tutorials for this. Like I'm learning how to edit. It's kind of slow going, but that's what I did earlier today. This is what we did tonight. And yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and sign off. And I will probably post one of these right away. So thank you guys so much for joining me in tonight's stream, and I will see you again on Saturday, and try to keep up the same normal stream schedule. And hopefully on Saturday I will be beginning a new costume, which is Arwen, that I have already started collecting materials for. So I will see you guys on Saturday. Thanks for joining me for this stream, and I will talk to you later. Bye, guys. Did you like that stream?
Yeah, everything looked good and sounded great.
It's good.
It was really clear.
So these are the edits for the photos we took together. Which one should I post?
Oh, fuck. I don't know. Ooh.
This one's one of my faves.
I'm leaning towards this one. This one's pretty striking.
But I'm also just like, should I save that for the next post? Because it's kind of late at night.
Yeah, I guess it, do you want to show off how pretty you are, or do you want to show off the costume?
How pretty I am.
Well, then, maybe a little bit closer up.
Oh, they can still hear me.